Jonathan Reed walked through the halls of his mansion, his expensive shoes echoing against the marble floors. Outside, the gardens were perfect. The fountains sparkled in the sunlight. But inside, the house felt empty. The silence was heavy, almost painful. Jonathan loved his children more than anything, but his 6-year-old twins, Ella and Ethan, had not spoken a single word in their lives. Doctors had examined them, psychologists had tried everything, yet the twins remained silent. They smiled, rarely, laughed even less, and their eyes often seemed distant, like they were in a world Jonathan could not reach. He had hired nannies, tutors, and therapists, but all had given up after months of frustration. Every day, he watched his children play quietly or sit by the window staring at the garden, and his heart ached. He wondered if he would ever hear their voices or feel their laughter fill the house. One morning, a new caregiver arrived. Her name was Lily. She was young, bright, and had a warmth in her eyes that made Jonathan feel something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. She carried a small bag of toys and books, and as she smiled at him, Jonathan noticed something unusual. Unlike the others who had tried and failed, Lily seemed calm, patient, and full of life. "Good morning, Mr. Reed," she said softly. "I can't wait to meet your children." Jonathan gave a small nod. He didn't say much. Words felt heavy these days. He had learned long ago that promises of change rarely worked in this house. Lily walked into the twins' room for the first time, her footsteps light on the soft carpet. Ella and Ethan were sitting on the floor, facing each other with their favorite stuffed animals. They didn't move when she entered, didn't even glance at her. Lily knelt down on the carpet, getting to their level, and spoke in a gentle voice. "Hello, Ella. Hello, Ethan. My name is Lily. I'm here to be your friend." The twins blinked slowly, but there was no response. Lily didn't feel discouraged. She had expected this. She had read about children like Ella and Ethan, who had been silent for years. She knew it would take patience, time, and love. For the next few days, Lily tried everything. Quietly, she read stories aloud in funny voices. She sang soft songs, and she drew pictures of animals and magical lands. The twins watched her silently, but small changes started to happen. Ella's eyes would follow her when she moved around the room. Ethan sometimes tilted his head as if he were curious. Lily didn't rush them. She knew that forcing words would not work. She needed to show them trust, warmth, and a world where they felt safe. One afternoon, she brought a small puppet, a bright blue bird with orange wings. She made it dance and talk, giving it a silly, cheerful voice. "Hello, I'm Bluey, the bird. Who wants to play with me?" she said, making the puppet flap around. Ella's eyes widened, and Ethan's lips curled into a tiny smile. Lily held the puppet close to them. "Bluey wants to be your friend," she whispered. For a moment, the twins were silent, watching. Then, as if testing the world, Ella reached out and touched the puppet's wing. Lily's heart skipped a beat. It was not a word, but it was a connection. A sign that something inside them was waking up. Jonathan watched from the doorway, unnoticed. He had come to check on the children, and he was surprised to see Lily on the floor, smiling gently at them. For the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope. Could she be the one to break through the walls his children had built around themselves? Could someone actually bring words and life into the mansion? He didn't dare imagine it too soon, but a spark had been lit, and it felt warm. Days passed, and small moments continued. Ethan laughed softly when Lily made the puppet sneeze. Ella clapped her hands when Lily sang a funny song. Each day brought a new little step. Lily celebrated every tiny victory. She knew that love was stronger than silence, and patience stronger than fear. She stayed calm, even when the twins turned away or ignored her. She learned their patterns, their favorite games, their little quirks. She even found out that Ethan liked to arrange his toy cars in lines, while Ella loved to stack blocks carefully. She joined them in their play, never forcing interaction, just being present, just being kind. One evening, as the sun set and the mansion glowed in soft orange light, Lily sat beside the twins. She whispered a story about a magical bird who could speak only to those who truly listened. Ella tilted her head, her eyes wide. Ethan's fingers twitched as if he wanted to speak but couldn't. Lily held her breath and continued softly. "The bird waits for the first word, the first hello, the first smile that is real." And then, for the first time in 6 years, a tiny voice broke the silence. Ella whispered, almost shyly, "Bird." Ethan followed with a soft, "Hello." Jonathan, standing in the hallway, felt tears welling in his eyes. The mansion, which had been silent for so long, had finally begun to change. Lily smiled gently at the twins. "See? You can speak, you can share your words and your hearts. I'll always be here to help." The twins, still shy, looked at her, and something in their eyes glimmered. Trust, curiosity, and the first spark of love. And in that moment, Jonathan realized that this was more than just a caregiver. Lily had begun to bring life back to his children, 2 open doors he had feared were closed forever. The mansion would never be silent again, not as long as Lily stayed, not as long as hope, patience, and love had a home here. The morning sun filtered softly through the tall windows of the mansion, casting golden patterns on the polished floors. Lily moved quietly through the hall, carrying a basket filled with colorful toys, storybooks, and some freshly baked cookies she had made herself. The twins were already awake, sitting on the floor in their room, their toys arranged neatly in lines, untouched by the world outside. For 6 long years, they had spoken nothing, except to themselves, in silence. Yet Lily didn't feel fear or frustration. She felt hope, and she carried it with her like a small flame, ready to grow. "Good morning, Ella." "Good morning, Ethan," she said softly, kneeling down to their level. The twins watched her carefully, their eyes like cautious little animals. Lily smiled, holding out a small red ball. "Do you want to play catch with me?" She rolled the ball gently across the floor. Ella tilted her head, her brown eyes wide with curiosity, but she didn't move. Ethan, as always, stared at her quietly. Lily didn't push. Instead, she spoke to them gently, as if they were the most precious treasures in the world. She decided to let them lead the play. She observed their small gestures, the way Ella reached out to touch the corner of a puzzle piece, or the way Ethan lined up his toy cars in exact rows. Lily joined them silently at first, mimicking their movements, making small, encouraging noises, clapping when they completed a small task. Slowly, she added words, naming the objects they touched. "This is a car, Ethan. That is a blue block, Ella." Her voice was soft, not demanding. Not loud, just steady and kind. Days turned into a routine, yet each day held tiny miracles. Lily would tell stories about talking animals, magical lands, and brave children who discovered courage within themselves. At first, the twins listened quietly, their expressions unreadable, but Lily noticed subtle changes. A giggle when a puppet sneezed, a smile when a story ended with a happy surprise. It was progress, small but precious. She wrote down every little reaction in her notebook, celebrating them as victories. One rainy afternoon, Lily brought out a small wooden puppet theater she had built. She placed it in front of the twins and introduced the puppets, a lion, a rabbit, and a blue bird. She made them move and speak, giving each a unique voice. "Hello, I'm Leo the lion," she said, making the lion bow. "And I'm Benny, the bunny." The twins leaned forward, their eyes fixed on the tiny figures. Lily whispered to them, "Leo and Benny love new friends. Will you play with them?" For the first time, Ella reached out, her fingers brushing the lion gently. Ethan's eyes lit up, and he grabbed the rabbit. A small, shy laugh escaped him, and it was like music to Lily's ears. Jonathan, observing from the doorway once again, felt something stir inside him. The mansion had never felt so alive. He watched as Lily played with his children, seeing their faces soften, their eyes brighten. The walls that had held them silent for so long were beginning to crack, just enough for light to seep in. He wanted to rush forward, to praise her, but he knew he had to wait. This was their journey, not his. Lily continued, her gentle methods. She would sing songs, but pause in the middle, leaving room for the twins to finish a line. She encouraged them to describe their drawings, their toys, even their feelings. One evening, after a long day of play, she brought out a large sheet of paper and colored pencils. "Draw what makes you happy," she said. Ella picked up a green crayon and drew a small house. Ethan drew 2 cars, racing each other. Lily smiled and asked softly, "Can you tell me about your picture?" At first, there was no answer. Then, in a soft whisper, Ella said, "House." Her voice was tentative, barely audible, but it was the first word she had spoken outside the puppet story. Ethan looked at her, then whispered, "Cars?" Lily clapped gently. "Yes, that's wonderful," she said, her eyes shining. The twins looked at her, unsure but proud. For the first time, they realized that words were not scary, that speaking could bring joy, not punishment or worry. Jonathan, watching quietly, felt tears well up. He had dreamed of this moment for years, and now it was unfolding before his eyes. As the days passed, Lily introduced more games, more gentle interactions. She taught them songs with simple words, asking them to sing along. She played guessing games, like "What animal am I?" where the twins had to guess and then speak the animal's name. At first, they were hesitant, but gradually, their voices grew stronger, louder, and filled with confidence. The mansion, once silent and cold, now echoed with tiny giggles, soft whispers, and the beginnings of laughter. But Lily knew that love and patience alone were not enough. She needed to gain the twins' trust completely. She began sharing small secrets about herself, like the fact that she loved painting or that she had a little puppy named Max at home. Slowly, the twins started asking questions. Two small ones like, "Where's Max?" or "Can we paint?" Each word, each question, was a victory. The walls around their hearts were cracking, and Lily was the key. One night, as the twins lay in their beds, Jonathan approached Lily. "Do you really think they'll speak like normal children?" he asked, his voice hesitant. Lily looked at him with calm confidence. "They already are," she said softly. "They just needed someone to listen, to care, and to love them. Words will come when their hearts feel safe." That night, Jonathan sat by the twins' room and listened to them whispering softly to each other for the first time. He couldn't hear every word, but he heard laughter, curiosity, and warmth. It was the beginning of something magical. For the first time, the mansion felt like a home, a place where love, not silence, would rule. The sun had barely risen over the mansion, casting long, golden beams across the marble floors. Lily was already awake, as she usually was, preparing a small breakfast for the twins. She hummed softly while arranging 2 plates of pancakes, one with honey and the other with strawberries, careful to make them look like little smiley faces. Today felt different to her. A special kind of energy was in the air, though she couldn't explain why. The twins had been showing progress, tiny steps each day. But something told her that today could be bigger. Ella and Ethan came down the stairs, sleepy-eyed, but curious. As usual, they didn't speak, but their eyes followed Lily's every move. She smiled at them gently. "Good morning. Look at your pancakes today. They're smiling at you." The twins tilted their heads slightly, a small smile tugging at Ella's lips. Ethan reached for his plate carefully, as if savoring the Mama. Jonathan, who had been watching quietly from the doorway, felt his heart swell. He had never realized how small gestures could hold so much meaning. Every time Lily smiled at the twins, or when they responded in the tiniest way, it was like a seed growing in the barren garden of their hearts. He whispered to himself, "Today be the day." After breakfast, Lily led them to the garden. The morning air was crisp, and the dew sparkled like diamonds on the grass. She had brought a small basket with toys, puppets, balls, and even a tiny wooden horse. "Let's play a game," she said softly. "I have a surprise for you." The twins looked at her, curiosity brightening their faces. Lily set up a small story circle with the puppets. There was Leo the lion, Benny the bunny, and Bluey the bird, the same puppets that had first made the twins laugh. "Today, we're going to tell a story together," Lily explained. "Leo and Benny are going on an adventure, and they need your help. Can you tell me what happens next?" Ella and Ethan exchanged a glance. For a moment, silence fell. Then, slowly, Ella leaned forward and whispered, "Lion, go." Lily's heart leaped. She smiled softly. "Yes, Liel is going on an adventure. What happens next?" Ethan hesitated, then whispered, "Rabbit," follows Jonathan, standing behind the bushes, could hardly breathe. His twins, his silent, quiet children, had just spoken to words. Words that carried hope, life, and the possibility of a future filled with laughter. Lily knelt down, gently clapping her hands. "That's perfect. You're telling the story? I'm so proud of you." The day continued like this, with small words forming into short sentences. Ella said, "Bird, flies high." Ethan added, "Car foss." Each phrase, though simple, was a giant leap for children who had not spoken for 6 long years. Lily encouraged them, repeating their words, celebrating every syllable. By the time lunch arrived, the twins had spoken more than they had in their entire lives. After lunch, Lily decided it was time to try something new. She took out a large sheet of paper and some crayons. "Let's draw a story," she said. "You can draw anything, and then tell me about it." Ella picked up a green crayon and drew a small house surrounded by trees. Ethan drew a car racing along a winding road. Lily knelt beside them. "Can you tell me about your picture?" she asked gently. Ella whispered, "House, tree," Ethan added, "car, road." Jonathan entered the room quietly, not wanting to disturb them. Tears ran down his cheeks as he listened. 6 years of silence had been broken in mere hours. His children were speaking. His children were alive in ways he had never imagined. He wanted to thank Lily, to tell her how much this meant, but he knew words could wait. For now, it was about them, the twins. The afternoon sun warmed the room. Lily took the twins outside again. This time, she brought storybooks and asked them to help her read. She pointed to the words, pronouncing them slowly, and asked the twins to repeat. "The bird flies high," she said. Ella repeated carefully, "Bird flies." Ethan followed with high. Lily clapped gently. "Excellent. You're reading together." The progress was not without challenges. Sometimes, the twins would retreat, overwhelmed by their own voices. they would stare silently, tears forming in their eyes, as if the world had suddenly become too loud. But Lily never rushed them. She held their hands, whispered encouragements, and reminded them gently, "It's okay. Take your time. Your words are safe with me." Slowly, they would return, their courage strengthened by her love. One evening, as twilight fell, Lily prepared a small puppet show in the living room. Jonathan watched from the hallway, feeling a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The twins sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes wide with excitement. Lily brought out Bluey the bird, making it dance and flap its wings. "Bluey has a message for you," she said softly. "He wants to know what you love." Ella looked at her, then whispered, "Mama, love." Lily's heart skipped a beat. Ethan followed with, "Papa loved." Jonathan stepped into the room, tears glistening in his eyes. They spoke. He whispered, almost to himself. The twins turned to him, shy but proud. For the first time, they had used words that carried meaning beyond toys and stories, words that expressed their feelings, their connection to him and to each other. The mansion felt alive that night. Laughter echoed through the hallways, soft giggles, followed by whispered words. Ella and Ethan shared little stories about their day, speaking slowly but with increasing confidence. Lily smiled, watching the transformation she had helped nurture. She knew that this was only the beginning, that more words, more emotions, and more love would come, but the first steps had been taken. Over the next few days, the twins' vocabulary grew. They began forming small sentences, asking questions, and expressing their needs. "I want water," Ethan said one morning. "I like story," Ela added, holding a book close to her chest. Lily celebrated each milestone, encouraging their speech, their creativity, and their courage. The mansion, once a place of silence and coldness, was now filled with warmth, love, and hope. Jonathan, seeing the changes in his children, felt gratitude beyond words. He had hired nannies before, tutors, and therapists, but none had touched the hearts of his children the way Lily had. She had done more than teach them words. She had given them confidence, love, and trust. She had opened the doors to their world, showing them that speaking, sharing, and expressing themselves was not something to fear, but something to embrace. One afternoon, Jonathan asked Lily to join him in the garden. "They're speaking more every day," he said softly. "I don't know how to thank you." Lily shook her head gently. "You don't need to thank me," she said. "Love is enough. Love will heal them, and it already has begun." Jonathan looked at her, realizing that she was not just a caregiver. She was a bridge between silence and words, between fear and courage, between loneliness and love. The evening ended with a quiet moment. The twins, tired but happy, lay in their beds, whispering to each other in low voices. "Good night, sister," Ethan said. "Good night, brother," Ella replied. Lily tucked him in, smiling at the simple, powerful words. Jonathan watched, silently from the doorway, feeling his heart swell. His children were finally finding their voices. Their hearts were opening. And the mansion had never felt more alive. For the first time in 6 years, Jonathan felt a sense of peace. He knew there would still be challenges, moments of fear and silence, but the foundation had been laid. Words had returned to the mansion. Love had returned to the mansion. And Lily, with her patience, kindness, and gentle heart, had made it all possible. The sun set behind the mansion, casting a warm golden glow over the gardens. Inside, laughter, whispers, and the sound of little footsteps filled the rooms. The silent twins were no longer silent. They had begun to speak, to share, to love, and this was only the beginning of a beautiful, unforgettable journey. The morning sun poured through the tall windows of the mansion, filling every corner of the grand hall with a soft, golden light. For the first time in 6 years, the house felt alive. Tiny giggles echoed through the halls, soft whispers followed by whispered questions, and the rhythmic tapping of little feet on polished floors. Jonathan Reed stood silently in the hallway, watching his 6-year-old twins. Ella and Ethan played together in the living room. They spoke more freely now, their voices shy at first but steadily growing louder with each passing day. Lily entered the room carrying a tray of breakfast toast, fresh fruit, and tiny pancakes shaped like hearts. She smiled warmly at the twins, who turned toward her with bright eyes and smiles. "Good morning, my friends," she said softly. "I brought something special today." The twins, excited, rushed forward, their small hands reaching for the tray. Ela giggled as she took a strawberry pancake, while Ethan eagerly grabbed a piece of toast. Jonathan could hardly believe his eyes. Only a few days ago, the twins had barely spoken, and now they laughed freely, shared food, and even offered each other bites. Lily had done more than teach them words. She had opened their hearts. Jonathan realized that words alone were not enough. Love and trust had to come first. and Lily had given them both in abundance. After breakfast, Lily decided to take the twins outside to the garden. The morning air was crisp, filled with the scent of blooming flowers. Birds chirped, and the fountains sparkled in the sunlight. She had prepared a little treasure hunt, hiding small toys and notes around the garden for the twins to find. "There's a surprise waiting for you," she whispered, kneeling down to their level. "You just have to look carefully and work together." Ella and Ethan eagerly searched the garden, following Lily's gentle hints. Each time they found a toy or note, they would run to her, eyes shining with excitement. "Look, Lily, a tiny car," Ethan exclaimed. Ella held up a small doll. "And a friend for me." Lily clapped her hands softly. "Excellent, you're both doing so well. Working together makes everything better." Jonathan watched from a distance, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. He had never seen his children so happy, so connected to each other and to the world around them. Lily had created more than a game. She had built a bridge between their hearts and the rest of life. As the day went on, Lily continued her gentle methods of teaching and connecting. She brought out a large sheet of paper and some crayons, encouraging the twins to draw their feelings. "Draw what makes you happy," she said softly. Ella picked up a green crayon and drew a house surrounded by flowers. Ethan chose a blue crayon and drew a car driving along a winding road. Lily knelt beside them. "Can you tell me about your pictures?" she asked. Ella whispered, "House, flowers, happy." Ethan added, "Car, go fast." Jonathan, standing quietly nearby, felt tears well up. For the first time, he realized that his children were not only speaking, but expressing emotions he had never seen before. They were discovering love, joy, and trust, feelings that had been locked away for 6 long years. In the afternoon, Lily decided to introduce a new activity. She had brought a small box of costumes, hats, scarves, and simple props. "Let's put on a play," she said, her eyes sparkling. "You can be anyone you want, and we'll tell a story together." Ella and Ethan hesitated at first, shy and unsure, but Lily knelt down, taking their hands. "It's okay," she whispered. "You could be anything. I'll be right here with you." Slowly, the twins began to explore the costumes, laughing as they tried on hats and scarves. They created characters, giving them voices and personalities. Ella became a brave princess, while Ethan turned into a daring knight. Lily guided the story gently, letting them speak and act freely. For hours, the living room was filled with laughter, imaginative play, and tiny moments of courage and self-expression. Jonathan watched from the doorway, amazed. He had spent years trying to connect with his children, using money, teachers, and specialists, but none of it had worked. Lily had done what everyone else had failed to do. She had unlocked their hearts. He realized that love could not be bought, only given. And Lily had given it freely, with patience, kindness, and unwavering faith. As the evening approached, Lily decided it was time to introduce another lesson, expressing love through words. She sat on the floor with the twins, holding a small notebook. "Today, we're going to write down things we love," she explained. "It could be a person, a pet, a place, or even a favorite toy. Anything that makes your heart happy." Ella picked up a pencil first. "I love Mama," she whispered softly. Ethan followed with, "I love Papa." Lily smiled gently. "Wonderful, that's perfect. Love is the most important word of all." Jonathan, standing nearby, felt his heart swell. His children were not only speaking, but understanding the meaning of love. They were discovering emotions he had only dreamed of seeing in them. Over the next few days, Lily continued to nurture their growth. She encouraged them to share feelings, ask questions, and speak freely. The twins began to tell her small secrets, like which flowers were their favorite, or which stories they liked best. They laughed together, played together, and even comforted each other when one was upset. The mansion, once silent and cold, was now filled with warmth, laughter, and love. One afternoon, as the sun set and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Jonathan joined Lily and the twins in the garden. They sat on a blanket, enjoying a small picnic. Ella handed Jonathan a drawing she had made, a colorful picture of the family holding hands. Ethan pointed to a small heart he had drawn and whispered, "Love." Jonathan felt tears well up. He looked at Lily, who smiled softly and nodded. She had done it. She had taught the twins not just to speak, but to love, to feel, and to connect. For the first time, Jonathan felt a sense of completeness he had never known. His children were finally discovering life, happiness, and the warmth of family love. But even as joy filled the mansion, Lily knew that challenges would come. Life was never perfect, and the world outside the mansion's walls could be harsh. Yet she also knew that the twins now had something far more powerful than fear or silence. They had love, trust, and the ability to speak their hearts. That, she realized, could overcome almost anything. That night, as the twins lay in their beds, they whispered to each other in low voices. "I love you, brother," Ella said softly. Ethan replied, "I love you, sister." Lily tucked him in, smiling at the simple, powerful words. Jonathan watched silently from the doorway, feeling a deep, overwhelming sense of gratitude. His children had not only spoken, they had discovered love. And Lily had been the guide, the bridge, and the heart behind it all. The mansion, once a place of silence, was now alive with emotion. Love had returned, laughter had returned, and hope had returned. Ella and Ethan had begun to understand the world in a new way, through words, through trust, and through connection. And Jonathan knew that with Lily by their side, their journey had only just begun. As the night deepened, the mansion glowed softly under the moonlight. Inside, whispers of love and excitement filled the rooms. Ella and Ethan, once silent and distant, now spoke freely, laughed openly, and expressed themselves with courage. Lily sat quietly in the living room, reflecting on the journey so far. She knew that more challenges awaited, but she also knew that the foundation was solid. The twins had learned to speak, to love, and to trust. And with that, nothing could stop them from discovering even greater happiness in the days to come. The mansion had never felt more alive. Laughter echoed through the hallways. Soft whispers of newly spoken words filled every room. And Jonathan Reed watched his 6-year-old twins, Ella and Ethan, with a heart full of hope. Just weeks ago, the children had been silent, withdrawn, and distant, but now they spoke freely, laughed openly, and expressed themselves with growing confidence. Lily, their gentle and patient caregiver, had become the bridge to this new life. But even in the midst of joy, the world outside the mansion's walls could be harsh, and danger sometimes came in the most unexpected forms. It was a quiet Monday morning when Jonathan received a letter that made his heart sink. The envelope was thick and heavy, stamped with a corporate seal. Inside was a formal notice from a rival businessman, Harold Carrington, who had been competing with Jonathan in the real estate industry for years. Harold had learned of a loophole in Jonathan's estate and was threatening to claim part of the mansion. The letter was cold and precise. If Jonathan didn't comply, Harold would legally force the sale of the property, and the twins could be separated from the home they had always known. Jonathan's hands trembled as he held the paper. He had worked his entire life to provide for his children, and now the foundation of their safe, happy world was under threat. He didn't want to panic, but a cold fear gripped him. He looked at Lily, who was quietly sitting across the room, helping the twins color in a storybook. She noticed the worry in his eyes and gently touched his arm. "Jonathan," she said softly, "we'll face this together. Your children are strong now, stronger than you realize. And love can protect them." Jonathan nodded, trying to steady his breathing. He knew Lily was right, but the threat felt enormous. The twins, unaware of the looming danger, continued to laugh and chatter, their voices small but filled with joy. Jonathan knew he had to protect this happiness at all costs. That afternoon, Lily decided to keep the twins occupied. While Jonathan dealt with the legal threat, she brought them to the garden, where the sunlight danced across the flowers. "Today," she said, kneeling down, "we're going to have a treasure hunt. There are surprises hidden everywhere, and you have to find them together." The twins, excited, ran across the grass, searching under bushes, behind trees, and around the fountains. Each discovery brought squeals of delight and soft whispers of joy. Even amidst the laughter, a shadow lingered. The twins had begun to speak and trust again, but the threat to their home reminded Lily that happiness could be fragile. She wanted to prepare them without frightening them, so she gently introduced a lesson about courage. "Sometimes," she explained softly, "life can be scary. People might try to take things we love. But as long as we stick together, as long as we love each other, we can face anything." Ella looked at her, wide-eyed. Ethan, holding her hand, whispered, "Together." Lily smiled. "Exactly, together." Over the next few days, the tension grew. Jonathan met with lawyers, negotiating with Harold Carrington, trying to protect the mansion and his children. He became quieter, more withdrawn, his worry hidden behind a calm facade. The twins noticed the subtle changes in his mood, sensing unease but not understanding the reason. Lily knew she had to shield them from fear while also helping them build resilience. One afternoon, as a sudden storm raged outside, the twins huddled close to Lily in the living room. Rain tapped against the windows, and thunder shook the walls. "It's okay," Lily whispered, wrapping them in a warm blanket. "The storm is loud, but we're safe inside. Nothing can hurt us when we're together." Ella and Ethan clung to her, their tiny hands gripping her sleeves. Lily told them a story about a brave little bird who faced storms but never gave up. showing courage and kindness even in the darkest times. The twins listened, eyes wide, absorbing the lesson of hope and resilience. As the storm passed, the twins emerged stronger. They began to express their feelings about fear and safety. "I scared. Thunder," Ella whispered. Ethan added, "But safe." Lily nodded, proud. They were learning not just to speak, but to process emotions, to understand fear, and to trust that love could protect them. Meanwhile, Jonathan received news that Harold Carrington was escalating the threat. The rival was determined to take the mansion, using every legal trick at his disposal. Jonathan felt a wave of desperation. This was more than a property dispute. It was a threat to the sanctuary his children had finally found. He called Lily into his office, explaining the situation. "They're trying to take it all," he said, his voice tight with emotion. "Everything. The house, the garden, the memories, and the twins." His voice broke. Willie placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Jonathan, we will fight this together. Your children are strong, and so are you. Love will protect them." Determined to shield the twins from worry, Lily continued her work with them as if nothing had changed. She organized games, reading sessions, and storytelling afternoons. Each day, she taught them small lessons about courage, empathy, and problems. The twins began to understand that challenges could be met with calm, love, and trust. One morning, she brought them into the kitchen to bake cookies. The twins giggled as they mixed dough, shaped it into hearts, stars, and little animals. Lily spoke softly. "When we face problems, we can think carefully, work together, and make good choices. Just like we mix ingredients to make something sweet." Ella looked up, her eyes thoughtful. "Together? Strong," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "Yes, strong." Lily smiled warmly. "Exactly. Together, we're strong." Despite Lily's calm guidance, the threat outside remained real. Harold Carrington had lawyers preparing legal documents, sending letters that demanded immediate compliance. Jonathan stayed awake late at night, reviewing contracts, making plans to defend his family. He knew that his children's safety and happiness depended on his actions. One evening, he gathered the twins in the living room, keeping the explanation simple and gentle. "Sometimes," he said softly, "there are people who try to take things that are not theirs. But we have each other, and we have love. Nothing can take that away." Ella and Ethan listened closely. Ethan hugged his father's leg. "Love. Strong," he whispered. Ella nodded. "Safe." Together, Jonathan felt a surge of hope. They were understanding, even at 6 years old, that love and courage could protect them. Lily continued to reinforce this lesson through storytelling. She told the twins a tale about two little rabbits who lived in a beautiful garden. One day, a fox tried to scare them away, but the rabbits, trusting each other and staying together, found a clever way to protect their home. The twins listened intently, asking questions, offering ideas, and slowly internalizing the lesson. "We clever. Together," Ethan said. Ella added, "Fox cannot home." Lily smiled, proud of their growing understanding. The days turned into a tense waiting period. Jonathan and his lawyers prepared to confront Harold Carrington directly. Meanwhile, Lily ensured the twins' routine remained joyful and structured. She knew this stability was essential. Storytime, playtime, outdoor games, and art sessions continued, giving the twins a sense of normalcy and safety. Finally, the confrontation came. Jonathan, armed with legal documents and his determination, met Harold Carrington in a formal office. The rival businessman was cold, calculating, and ruthless. He demanded that Jonathan sell part of the mansion immediately. But Jonathan, inspired by love for his children and the lessons Lily had taught them, stood firm. "This house is more than property," he said firmly. "It is the home of my children, the place where they have found love, trust, and happiness. You cannot take that from us," Harold sneered, attempting to intimidate him, but Jonathan remained steadfast. In the end, Jonathan's careful planning, combined with his lawyer's expertise, forced Harold to retreat. The mansion and the family's sanctuary was safe once again. When Jonathan returned home, he found Lily and the twins in the garden. The twins ran to him, shouting, "Papa!" and throwing their arms around his legs. Lily smiled, standing nearby. Jonathan knelt, hugging them tightly. "We're safe," he whispered. "Nothing can take us away from each other." The twins laughed, their voices bright and joyful, a sound that had once been unimaginable. That night, as the twins lay in bed, Ethan whispered to Ella, "We strong. Together." Ella nodded, smiling. Love, safe. Lily tucked them in, proud of the courage and understanding they had developed. Jonathan watched silently, feeling gratitude, relief, and love all at once. The threat had passed, but the lessons remained. courage, love, and unity were stronger than fear, and nothing could break the bond they shared. The mansion, once fragile under the weight of silence and fear, now stood firm, filled with laughter, love, and hope. The twins had learned not only to speak, but to face challenges with bravery. And Lily, with her patience, kindness, and unwavering guidance, had ensured that the sanctuary of their hearts remained safe and full of love. The mansion had never felt so alive. The sun rose slowly over the gardens, painting everything in golden light. Birds chirped, fountains sparkled, and the walls echoed with the laughter of Ella and Ethan, the 6-year-old twins who had once been silent. Jonathan Reed stood at the top of the staircase, watching them play with Lily. It was hard to believe how far they had come. Just weeks ago, the twins had not spoken a single word. Now, they ran through the halls, shared secrets, and even argued, playfully, small steps of independence and love that filled Jonathan's heart with joy. Lily knelt in the living room, helping the twins set up a puppet show. Ella held Leo the lion proudly, while Ethan controlled Bluey the bird. Remember, Lily said softly, "Tell the story with your own words. Speak from your heart." The twins nodded eagerly. They had learned that speaking was not just repeating words, it was expressing feelings. Their voices, once timid whispers, were now confident and joyful. Jonathan felt a surge of pride. He had watched Lily guide the twins, teaching them patience, courage, and the power of love. He realized that she had given them more than words. She had given them the ability to trust, to feel, and to share their hearts. But life had its challenges. Even though Harold Carrington had retreated after his failed attempt to claim the mansion, Jonathan knew that external threats could return. He also understood that the emotional well-being of the twins depended on constant nurturing. The mansion might be safe physically, but love and trust needed care every day. That morning, Lily decided to celebrate the twins' progress. She brought out paints, brushes, and large sheets of paper. "Day-Day," she said, smiling, "we are going to make a painting of our family." Ella picked up a brush and carefully painted a small house, surrounded by flowers. Ethan drew the sun shining brightly over the house. Lily encouraged them to add details, hearts, trees, animals, and anything they loved. Jonathan watched silently, tears forming in his eyes. He had never seen such joy in his children, and he knew that it was Lily's love that had made this possible. When the painting was finished, Lily asked the twins to explain their work. Ella whispered, "How's happy? Love." Ethan added, "Sun, warm, family." Jonathan stepped forward, kneeling beside them. "You've made something beautiful," he said softly, "and it's full of love." The twins beamed for the first time. Jonathan felt that the mansion was truly a home, not because of its size or luxury, but because it was filled with life, laughter, and love. Later that day, Jonathan and Lily decided to take the twins to the garden for a special surprise. A small picnic had been set up under a large oak tree, with blankets, cushions, and a basket filled with their favorite treats. The twins ran across the grass, laughing and shouting with joy. Lily spread the blankets while Jonathan watched, feeling a deep sense of contentment. The twins had discovered happiness, safety, and love, and for that, he would be forever grateful to Lily. As the afternoon sunlight faded, Lily suggested a new game, a storytelling challenge. "You each tell a story about something you love," she said. "It can be real or imaginary, but make sure to use your words and your imagination." Ella went first, her voice clear and confident. She told a story about a little princess who found her voice and brought happiness to her kingdom. Ethan followed, speaking about a brave knight who protected his friends with courage and kindness. Lily clapped her hands softly, proud of the twins' progress. Jonathan, moved by the scene, realized that the twins had learned far more than he had imagined. They were not only speaking, they were expressing love, understanding courage, and forming bonds that would last a lifetime. Lily had transformed their lives, showing them the power of patience, empathy, and trust. As evening approached, a gentle calm settled over the mansion. The twins, tired but happy, lay on a large blanket under the stars. Lily sat beside them, pointing out constellations and telling stories of magical lands far away. Jonathan joined them, wrapping an arm around each child. For the first time, the family felt complete, not because of wealth or grandeur, but because of the love they shared. Suddenly, a soft voice broke the quiet. "I love Papa," Ethan whispered. Ella added, "I love Mama," referring to Lily as the one who had guided them through their journey of love and courage. Jonathan's heart swelled. These words, simple yet powerful, carried all the emotion of months of struggle, patience, and healing. Lily smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. She had witnessed miracles, not magic, but the miracle of love and dedication. The following weeks were filled with joy, learning, and family bonding. Lily continued to teach the twins not only words, but also empathy, problem-solving, and understanding emotions. The twins began helping each other, sharing toys, comforting one another when upset, and expressing themselves openly. Jonathan joined in the activities, reading stories, playing games, and enjoying the rare laughter of his children. One day, Jonathan organized a small celebration in the garden, inviting close family friends to see the twins' transformation. Ella and Ethan proudly demonstrated their abilities, reading short sentences, telling stories, and even singing a song together. Guests watched in amazement as the twins, once silent and withdrawn, now spoke clearly, laughed freely, and expressed love openly. Jonathan's heart filled with pride and gratitude. He knew that this happiness, this restoration, was largely due to Lily's unwavering care, patience, and love. Yet, amidst the celebration, Jonathan also realized an important truth. Happiness, while beautiful, must be nurtured. Love must be protected, and bonds must be strengthened continually. He turned to Lily, who was quietly observing the twins, and said, "You've given them life, not just words. I can never thank you enough." Lily shook her head gently. "Jonathan, the true reward is seeing them happy. That's all that matters." The twins, sensing the love and gratitude around them, ran to Jonathan and Lily, hugging them both tightly. "Love, safe," Ethan whispered. Ella added, "Together, all of..." In that moment, the mansion truly felt like home, warm, vibrant, and full of life. Weeks turned into months, and the twins continued to grow, not only in words, but in understanding love and family. They learned to express gratitude, empathy, and courage. They discovered that happiness could be created, nurtured, and shared. And at the center of it all was Lily, their caregiver, guide, and friend, who had transformed their silent world into one filled with joy, laughter, and love. Jonathan often reflected on the journey. He had learned that wealth and power were meaningless without love, patience, and connection. The mansion, once a cold, silent house, had become a place where hearts could grow, voices could be heard, and love could flourish. One evening, as the sun set and the mansion glowed in soft orange light, the family gathered in the garden. Lanterns hung from the trees, casting warm light over the picnic blankets. Ella and Ethan played together, their voices full of excitement and confidence. Lily watched them, smiling quietly. Jonathan sat beside her, taking her hand. "You've changed everything," he said softly. "Our family, our home, our lives?" Lily shook her head, smiling. "No, Jonathan. Love changed everything. I've just helped guide it." The twins ran toward them, holding hands. "Papa, Mama, Louie, love," they said in unison, their voices filled with happiness, trust, and gratitude. Jonathan and Lily hugged them tightly, feeling the warmth of family bonds stronger than ever before. That night, the mansion was quiet, but no longer silent in the way it had been. It was quiet with peace, contentment, and the knowledge that love had restored what fear and silence had taken. The twins slept soundly, dreaming of adventures, laughter, and family moments. Jonathan and Lily sat by the window, watching the stars, knowing that the journey had been long, but the reward, a family filled with love, words, and connection, was worth every moment. The mansion, once a place of silence, fear, and isolation, had become a sanctuary of happiness, love, and life. Ella and Ethan had learned to speak, to express themselves, and to love freely. Jonathan had learned the power of patience, understanding, and the courage to fight for what truly mattered. And Lily, with her gentle heart and unwavering dedication, had brought everything together, ensuring that the family would remain happy, safe, and united forever. And so, the mansion echoed not with silence, but with laughter, love, and the sound of little voices discovering life in its fullest, most beautiful form. Happiness had been restored, hearts had been healed, and the story of the silent twins had become a tale of love, hope, and the magic of patience and care.